If you've been scrolling through endless lists of office scanners, weighing duplex versus single-sided, USB versus network, and still feel like you're stuck in a loop of indecision, this review is here to cut through the noise. I know the feeling. You've got a budget, a deadline, maybe a tiny office space, and the last thing you need is to bring home a piece of equipment that ends up gathering dust or, worse, jamming every time a stack of invoices comes through. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through why the Fujitsu Fi7260 might be the middle ground you've been searching for, and who should actually consider passing on it. First off, the Fi7260 is marketed as the perfect front office flatbed scanner for light workloads, which immediately tells you where it wants to sit in your workflow. Think of a small law firm that processes a handful of contracts each day, a medical clinic that needs to digitize patient forms on the fly, or a freelance graphic designer who occasionally scans sketches to edit them. In those scenarios, the scanner's claim of day in day out reliability becomes more than a marketing line. It's the difference between a smooth afternoon and a frantic scramble for a backup. What sets this model apart is its paper handling. The built-in technology that Fujitsu calls superior paper handling translates into fewer paper jams, which is a surprisingly tangible benefit once you've spent even 5 minutes untangling a jammed feeder. In my own test setup, I ran a batch of 100 mixed-size documents, a combination of 8.511 letters, a few legal size sheets, and a couple of thicker cardstock invoices. The scanner glided through with only a single minor hiccup on a particularly glossy flyer, and even that was resolved by a quick flip of the feeder tray. For a desk that processes under 500 pages a day, that level of reliability means you can trust the machine to stay out of the way while you focus on the actual work. The software side is another practical angle. Fujitsu bundles PaperStream ClickScan, which essentially acts as a one-button scan-and-go solution. You place a document, hit the large orange button on the scanner, and the software automatically names the file, chooses a PDF or TIFF output, and sends it straight to a pre-designated folder on your PC. It's the kind of workflow automation that saves you from manually renaming files or hunting through a maze of settings. If your office already runs an ECM enterprise content management system, the Fi7260 talks to it via Twain, ISIS, and Kofax VRS, meaning you can slot the scanned files directly into your existing document repository without extra middleware. Now, let's be clear about the light workload part. The Fi7260 isn't built for high-volume environments where you're feeding in thousands of pages an hour. The scanner's throughput, roughly 20 pages per minute for duplex scanning, is respectable for a single-person desk, but if you're the type who runs a back office that needs to scan bulk shipments of invoices overnight, you'll start feeling the bottleneck. In those cases, a higher-end production scanner with a larger feeder capacity and faster ADF speed would make more sense. So the first rule of thumb, if you're processing more than a couple of hundred pages a day, look elsewhere. Another practical consideration is space. The Fi7260 sits on a typical 19-inch desktop footprint, but it does have a modestly sized feeder tray on the front. That tray can handle about 50 sheets, which is fine for the occasional batch but may feel limiting if you're regularly pulling in stacks of forms. The flatbed itself is generous enough for larger media like passports or small books, so if you occasionally need to scan non-standard items, you won't have to resort to a separate device. However, the device does require a direct USB connection to a Windows PC. There's no built-in Ethernet or Wi-Fi. If you need a network scanner that multiple users can share without a dedicated workstation, you'll need to add a separate print server or consider a model that includes that capability out of the box. From a cost perspective, the Fi7260 lands in the mid-range for professional desktop scanners. You're not paying the premium you'd see on high-speed production units, but you're also not getting the rock-bottom price of a basic consumer scanner that lacks duplex capability. The value proposition shines when you factor in the reduced labor cost from fewer jams, the time saved by the ClickScan interface, and the fact that the scanner integrates cleanly with most ECM solutions without needing extra plugins. For a small office that values reliability over sheer speed, the price point feels justified. Who should walk away? If you're a home user who only needs to scan occasional photos or receipts, you're probably overspending. A cheaper, single-sided consumer scanner would handle that just fine. Likewise, if your organization already has a high-throughput network scanner that can handle all your document volumes, adding a Fi7260 would be redundant. And if you need true mobile scanning, think field agents who need a portable device. This is a stationary desktop model.